The men kidnapped and buried 26 children alive.
Carrying the youngsters and driver from a summer school session at Dairyland Unified School was found empty in a bamboo-covered area of the dry Berenda Slough. There is no doubt the bus was deliberately hidden in the thicket, and dust on the seats indicated the 26 youngsters were not aboard when the bus was driven into the slough.
The date was the 15th of July 1976. It was a warm, ordinary summer afternoon in Chowchilla, California, a small agricultural town in the Central Valley. 26 children ranging in age from 5 to 14 and their 55-year-old bus driver, Frank Edward Ray, were on their way home from Dairyland Elementary School. They were travelling on a yellow school bus, bus number 1, just like any other day. Hello true crime fans, and welcome to Behind the Yellow Tape. Today we delve into one of the most audacious and frightening mass kidnappings in American history. The 1976 Chowchilla school bus incident, a crime that shocked the nation with its sheer scale and chilling simplicity. If you find this video interesting, please follow. The videos take a long time to make and it really does help. Also, please comment where you're watching from. It's great to see how far we've reached. At around 4 p.m. on a quiet country road, a white van abruptly blocked the school bus's path. 3 masked men armed with sawed-off shotguns and nylon stockings covering their faces emerged from a van and boarded the bus.
Many of the worried parents were waiting at roadside, while others kept an all-night vigil at the Chowchilla police station.
The California Highway Patrol are bringing down an aircraft that they have to patrol the highways. It's a very expensive aircraft. It's called a stall. It's capable of flying at extremely low altitudes at low speeds. It can almost hover, in fact, it seems. And they have radio contact with ground units. And we're going to take a map of the county, and particularly this end of the county, divide it off into sectors. And in cooperation with the ground units, we will have the aircraft fly, look for buildings, for vehicles, for any suspicious activity, any place where a large number of people like this might be in hiding.
The leader of the group, later identified as 24-year-old Frederick Woods, along with his accomplices, brothers James and Richard Schoenfield, aged 24 and 22 respectively, overpowered the bus driver Frank Ray. Despite the terrifying situation, Ray remained remarkably calm, urging the frightened children to cooperate. The kidnappers forced Ray to drive the school bus off the main road and into a hidden, overgrown riverbed. The children and Ray were then transferred into 2 vans, which had been stripped inside and outfitted with benches. The windows were covered, plunging the victims into darkness. The 3 men then began a bizarre 11-hour drive, a journey designed to confuse and disorientate the captives. The kidnappers drove in circles, attempting to make it impossible for the victims to tell where they were being taken. Their destination was a quarry in Livermore, California, more than 100 miles away. This remote location was actually property owned by the Woods family. At the quarry, the children and Frank Ray were led one by one into a small buried box trailer, a repurposed moving van that the kidnappers had sunk into the ground and sealed with heavy steel plates and an elaborate ventilation system. They were instructed to enter this dark, suffocating chamber. The kidnappers' plan was to hold the victims for a massive $5 million ransom.
I've pretty well got it figured out. I may be wrong, but I may be right. I think it's some type of a group that wants recognition and money, and they haven't asked for the money yet, but they're getting the recognition.
Once all 27 people were inside, the kidnappers sealed the vault-like trailer with a heavy manhole cover and piled 200-pound battery packs on top to prevent escape. They then drove away, intending to wait for their ransom demand to be broadcast. What the kidnappers failed to account for was the extreme resilience and courage of their victims. The trailer was cramped, dark and hot, and quickly becoming airless as the ventilation system failed. Frank Ray knew that he had to act fast. Ray, along with the help of 2 older boys, 14-year-old Michael Marshall and 10-year-old Ed Ray, began to stack the thin foam mattresses provided by their captors. Standing on top of the precarious stack, Frank Ray was able to reach the ceiling hatch. Using all of his strength, Ray wedged a piece of wood between the steel lid and the frame, then used a shovel they had found inside the trailer as a lever. It took several hours of back-breaking, desperate work. The children helped by keeping quiet and maintaining hope.
It was the summer of 1976 when this bus pulled into the small town of Chowchilla, California. Inside the bus were 26 traumatized children. Outside were their frantic parents. These children had been through an unimaginable ordeal, kidnapped and buried alive in an old moving truck that had been hidden beneath a rock quarry.
Finally, after what must have felt like an eternity, Frank Ray managed to shove the 2 heavy battery packs off the lid and pry open the steel plate. He scrambled out, calling down to the children, telling them, "We're free." It was around 8 p.m. when Ray and the children emerged from the underground prison. They were disorientated but alive. They walked for a short distance until they reached a guard shack at the quarry and immediately called the county sheriff's department. Meanwhile, these dumb kidnappers, Frederick Woods and the Schoenfield brothers, had completely botched their ransom attempt. Their repeated phone calls to the Chowchilla Police Department and the local prison switchboard failed because the lines were completely overwhelmed with calls related to the missing bus. Frustrated and paranoid and without any way to deliver their demands, the men fled, leaving the quarry before the victims had even managed to escape. The investigation quickly identified the 3 men. The key piece of evidence was a ransom note the kidnappers had written and typed, a copy of which was found in an abandoned quarry truck. Also found were fingerprints on the underground trailer and vehicle evidence, all linking back to Frederick Woods and the Schoenfield family. Richard Schoenfield was the first to surrender, turning himself in 9 days after the kidnapping. James Schoenfield was caught in Menlo Park, California 2 weeks later. Frederick Woods was eventually tracked down in Vancouver, British Columbia, and arrested. At the trial, the defence argued that the young men, who come from wealthy, prominent families, had only intended a harmless prank to get money, citing financial desperation despite their background. The jury didn't buy it, obviously. All 3 were convicted of 27 counts of kidnapping and were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This sentence was later reduced to life with the possibility of parole. The Chowchilla kidnapping remains a harrowing story of immense criminal failure, met by unimaginable civilian bravery. Frank Ray and the children endured a trauma that scarred them for life, but their teamwork and driver Ray's leadership resulted in a spontaneous, heroic escape. Frank Ray was later honoured for his bravery and passed away in 2012.
Fred Woods has been locked up now for 44 years. He and 2 brothers hijacked the bus back in 1976 with 26 children on board. They then drove them to Livermore and put them in a container, buried in a quarry. The bus driver helped the children escape after 16 harrowing hours. The 2 brothers convicted in this plot were later paroled in 2012 and 2015.
As for the dumb kidnappers, Richard Schoenfield was paroled in 2012. His brother, James Schoenfield, was paroled in 2015. Frederick Woods, the mastermind, was repeatedly denied parole until a judge ruled him eligible in 2022, and he was released in August of that year. The Chowchilla school bus kidnapping is a stark reminder of the profound impact a few hours of terror can have, and the incredible strength that can be found in the darkest of places. Thank you for listening today, and remember, stay behind the yellow tape.